Aquarius workshop, understanding the duality between perpetrator and victim. I start with a quote from Pathwork Lecture 225 with the title Evolution in Terms of Individual and Group Consciousness. And the quote is as follows: Even today, mankind in general is not yet able or willing to get along with all human brothers and sisters inhabiting the earth. The old consciousness still makes for separation. But mankind is now ready for a new influx, so that those who resist the movement will experience a painful crisis, while those who follow it will experience unprecedented riches and blessing. End of quote from Pathwork Lectures 225. The Earth is a learning school. We incarnate on Earth to embody destructive, neurotic, childish consciousness. Our task is to become aware of this destructiveness, take responsibility for it, feel it, and raise it to a constructive, peaceful, mature consciousness. The destructive consciousness is alienated from the true self and is at a dualistic level of consciousness. In duality, every divine quality is split into two irreconcilable opposites. The divine quality of brotherhood is split into perpetrator and victim. Often we only recognize one aspect of that duality and are blind to the other aspect. But to the extent that we experience victimhood, to the same extent there must be perpetration. Only if we recognize, feel and accept both aspects of duality, both positions of victim and perpetrator, can duality merge again into the unity of brotherhood. Exchanging the dualistic concept of life for the unity level brings about a paradigm shift, because then the view of reality changes completely. In this workshop you will explore with a loving curiosity three fundamental themes of the Pathwork Lectures regarding the duality between perpetrator and victim. The first theme: understanding the truth, me and the other are one. The great struggle of man consists of me versus the other. As long as we are negatively focused, there is fear of reaching out and intimate contact, because isolation gives us a sense of identity. We avoid the happiness of union with another for fear of losing control. In reality, there is one consciousness, for every human being is a cell of the entity humanity. When we live in the oneness of being, where me and the other apply, then there is no fear of giving, and we can fully receive the generosity and abundance of life. The next quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 138. When your psyche is geared to me and the other, then there is no more conflict between giving and receiving. Then there is no more refusal to add to life, and, consequently, deep sorrow and suffering, isolation and conflict, guilt and frustration must cease. Then there can no longer be the temporal struggle that man goes through, in which he suffers in his isolation, in which he wants to reach out, and yet the very minute he reaches, he pushes away. The very moment he eliminates barriers because the suffering of isolation becomes unbearable, he already sets up new barriers because the fear of it overwhelms him. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 138. The second theme. Recognize the vicious circle of hurting or being hurt. In every human being there is an inner battle between the life force and the anti-life force. This opposing force, which consists of fear, hostility, distrust, pain and anger, creates negative contact. The desire to hurt manifests itself in hostility and aggression. The belief of being hurt attracts abuse. Both positions of perpetrator and victim are always present in every person to the same extent, but one of them may be more conscious. Hurting or being hurt leads to a vicious circle of fear, guilt, shame, tension, and resistance to contact, so that the inner conflict continues to increase. The next quote stands for Pathwork Lecture 149. The individual is being driven into painful contact, thus combining the two factors embodied in the two directions. First, the pull towards contact. Second, the fear of it and hence a pull away from it. The latter engenders two fundamental defensive reactions, either the desire to hurt or the sense of being hurt, as an inevitable byproduct of contact. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 149. The third and last theme. Brotherhood merges duality. Alienated from the true self, we experience no brotherhood. The perpetrator justifies his own destructive attitude on the basis of that of the other. The separation between the perpetrator who causes the suffering and the victim who suffers is so great that the perpetrator convinces himself that his actions have no consequences and that the pain of his brother or sister is not his own pain. Instead, the perpetrator experiences excitement and pleasure when he spreads suffering and pain. We can break through this negative pleasure by making the effort to ask the true self for the truth. The first question is, what is the truth here? The second question is, do I really want to know the truth? If we can answer those two questions, we will dispel the dark clouds of destructiveness and heal the duality between perpetrator and victim into brotherhood. The last quote stems from Pathwork Lecture 257. Without brotherhood there is no love. Without love there is no brotherhood. Love is union. Hate is split, dissension, isolation. Love means mutual understanding. But in order for such understanding to grow, effort and goodwill have to exist. In other words, love is not something that happens like a miracle, nor is the experience of union. Union with God cannot be experienced unless you are able to experience union with your brothers and sisters, even those who you think are your enemies. End of quote from Pathwork Lecture 257. I wish you peace and all the best. Thank you.